Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see everybody on this early morning in Texas. So, they missed the beginning of that video, the first line of that video. I don't have many voice opportunities to do these things. It says there's only one way to win. And it's something that, as we thought about the conference, thought about the theme of this season, we wanted to make it something that was real, because that is essentially who we are. So, all right, we ready in the back? Let's go. Welcome to Arlington. We really appreciate the effort by everyone to be here today. We want to start by acknowledging some special people. Media Day always starts with a lot of thank yous. So our entire team at the American Conference, I can't thank these folks enough. Thank you for your hard work. These events take incredible coordination, and I'm really grateful to all of you for your remarkable effort that you've made. Thanks to the team at the Lowe's for hosting us. These are two really special days for our entire American community. And thanks to our presidents, chancellors, athletics directors for the incredible support they continue to provide every day. We'd like to recognize Vice Admiral Yvette Davids, the new superintendent at the Naval Academy and the first woman to hold that prestigious honor. And we'd like to extend our best wishes to President Neil Smatresk of North Texas. He's retiring next week. We also welcome Harrison Keller, who will start his term as president with the Mean Green in August. We'd also like to take a moment to remember the late Joanne Epps, the outstanding president of Temple, who passed away in September. We thank Dick Englert for stepping in again as Temple's president, and we welcome John Fry, who will take office in the fall. We have three outstanding new athletic directors in this conference: Ed Scott at Memphis, Justin Moore at Tulsa, and David Harris at Tulane. We're really excited to bring their accomplished backgrounds and their thought leadership to the American. It's great to see a couple of our ADs here today, Jared Mosley from North Texas and Lisa Campos, the future commissioner of the American from UTSA. And welcome to our bowl partners from the Cotton, Frisco, Fenway, Independence, Armed Forces, and Cure Bowls. It's a pleasure to see our office mates from the College Football Playoff, Byron Hatch and Katie Cavender. They brought along some inspiration for our student athletes. A chance to get up close to that national championship trophy before you start chasing it this season. Thanks to our partners at ESPN. Clint Overby is here with us today. For everyone watching on ESPN Plus, welcome as well. The entire team at ESPN is so dedicated to the unscripted drama of sports, capturing moments in time, telling the story of our student athletes and our institutions. Welcome back to our 12 returning head football coaches, and a warm welcome to the two new coaches, John Summerall from Tulane and Coach Jeff Munkin at Army. Unfortunately, Biff Poggi from Charlotte is not here with us today for family reasons, but we want Biff to know that we're all keeping him and his family in our prayers. I know from my own experience, the impact of a coach is a relationship for life. It really goes beyond the X's and O's. To our football student athletes that are here, today's all about you. That's the day. It feels like, honestly, yesterday, even though it was 30 years ago, that I was in your place. And what I wouldn't give to have one more training camp and season. My body, I think, would completely disagree with that. But I hope you guys take a deep breath. Think about how many young men would love to be in your place. Stay in the moment and make the most of the opportunities you have this season, because they don't last forever. Welcome to the media. Appreciate you all being here as well. Special welcome to Steve Richardson from the Football Writers Association, who's here with us today as well. We know you guys have a hard job. We appreciate the coverage and the storytelling around all of our programs and our student athletes. It's great to see fans here today for the first time. This is the first time we've ever done this. It won't be the last. To our fans, thank you for supporting the coaches and the student athletes and your school all year long. And we've set some fun things up. We hope you have an awesome experience with us today. I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Mike Oresco. Everybody that's been around this conference knows Mike. He continues to be a champion of this conference. Mike has been incredibly generous with me, sharing his time and his insights and his stories and his history during the transition. It's been terrific. And it'll be an honor in December for me to present the first Mike Oresco Most Outstanding Player Award to the top performer in this year's American Football Championship game. So today is day 50. It feels a little longer, but it's day 50 as Commissioner of the American. These days are all about developing relationships. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot of learning. Of course, preparing to take some big swings as a conference. The team in Dallas and on our campus, they've just been so welcoming and gracious and accommodating, and believe me, I'm asking lots of questions. My colleague commissioners have done the same. They've been available and supportive literally at every turn and to help me with anything that I've needed. When I was chosen to succeed Mike, I remember Ralph Russo from the AP said to me, "Why do you want to return to college athletics when so many people are seemingly trying to get out?" And to me, it was an easy answer. Investment. My experience as a football student athlete literally changed my life. It provided me with a top-notch education, incredible football memories, lasting relationships with teammates and coaches, and invaluable life skills. 30 years later, believe it or not, collegiate athletics continues to be a formula that paves the way. Future teachers, entrepreneurs, professionals, leaders, it works. It's a model worth modernizing and investing in. And there's never been a better time than now to invest. I may be selfish, I think there's no better place to invest than at the American. Invest in our brand, our business, our people. And by the way, this is not my pitch to private capital. From day one, it's been a priority to do a deep dive and understand the brand. What makes us different? Where do we excel? How do we get stronger? Because investing in the brand is not just about games. It's not just about what fans see on Saturday. It's about building sustainability, creating a legacy, delivering an unrivaled student-athlete experience, and capturing the hearts of our fans. And here are some facts. During the 2023 season, the American had approximately 2.5 million fans that attended our football games, the most of our peer group. Our brand was also the most talked about in comparison to our peers, dominating the conversation at 33%. More than 65% of our conference-controlled football games aired on ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2, and we averaged nearly 1 million fans per game watching our linear broadcasts, and 16 of those exceeded that mark. We have powerful markets. 13 of the top 51 in the country are in the American. We have a presence and influence in Dallas, Houston, Baltimore, Washington, San Antonio, New Orleans, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Memphis, Tampa, Birmingham, annually rated the top college football market, and thanks to our newest football member, Army, in New York, the #1 media market in the country. This is just the beginning. This is power. We're going to maximize this brand by creating original content that goes way beyond game day. The experience has to last year-round to create engagement between student athletes and fans and supporters. And we believe, as far as we know, we're the only conference with a production studio in our building with talented, creative, hungry executives ready to take the gloves off in the studio. We're happy to announce today, in support of those efforts, we've entered into a multi-year partnership with WSC Sports, a pioneer and industry leader in AI-generated sports video content. We'll create and distribute real-time and post-game video for every conference-controlled football, men's basketball, and women's basketball game. This gives us the same tools as the NBA, the NHL, NASCAR, the USGA. It will deepen our connection with fans. It'll unlock creative and revenue-generating opportunities. We all understand that growing our brand drives value for our member institutions, their programs, their student athletes. This is our goal. It's also time to invest in the collegiate athletics model, the hot topic. Collegiate athletics is in the midst of transformative change. You might call it chaos, but it's exciting. Things need to change. Change leads to transformation. Transformation brings opportunity. Opportunity needs investment. People have been talking a lot about this. Private equity, private capital, me included, wanting to be involved in our space. Do you know why? They love business opportunities with massive and growing affinity and tremendous upside potential that maybe have been historically slow to adapt. And whether it's private capital or it's a creative corporate partner looking to break new ground, they see what we know. Collegiate athletics has failed to modernize the enterprise until it was faced with a crisis. But they also see that we are overflowing with committed leadership who is mission-driven. So what does a crisis mean? Legislators having to pen bills to help us change. A potential $20 billion lawsuit targeted at a handful of conferences and the NCAA. But here's the deal, like the enterprise is in it together. This finger pointing is useless. And while our conference is not named in that lawsuit, everyone has played a role in the failure to modernize in the past and create fairness for student athletes. Here's the good news. We're on the cusp of settling that lawsuit. It'll be the largest in collegiate athletics history, and this is a lawsuit that will completely change the way we govern and the way we do business. There's a frustrating part of this too. At times, there's a lack of transparency in sharing all the information so that we can all properly plan and begin to build the future. Listen, the people in that room, we're grateful for the hard work that's being done. These are some really smart people. And we all understand the importance at times like this, especially when it comes to litigation, of privilege. But this settlement is much more than about money. There are transformative matters at stake. Title IX, roster limits, sports sponsorship. We need to remember that the decisions being made are going to impact a diverse enterprise, not just the top 1%. This is why we have to work together to ensure every conference has a voice in this. There's hurdles, but I'm going to encourage my peers in leadership to remember we have this collective responsibility to work together, to listen to each other, to consult, to add ideas, to be open-minded, and deliver a model that properly supports 500,000 plus student athletes' ability to get an education, not just a small fraction of them. So there's a big question at stake. Are we doing that? In the American, our student athletes, coaches, administrators want to understand. They want to have a voice. This is logical. These decisions that are being made will determine their futures and how they should conduct their business. This potential settlement is going to shape a new enterprise, and that's where the work begins, to work together on a model, on a model that provides sustainability in the future. We owe this to the young people of the conference. Having experience in the private sector and on campus, I understand how to evaluate businesses. And I can tell you that innovation starts with collaboration. You have to choose the right partners. You have to have a cultural fit. You have to create alignment. Today it seems like everybody just talks about the dollars. That's not the only factor. But here's the deal. Let's not spend a minute lamenting the state of college athletics. Okay? We've arrived where we've arrived. Instead, let's look through the windshield and not in the rearview mirror. I mean, if collegiate athletics was in such bad shape, do you really think we would be experiencing this accelerated growth and outside entities would want to invest in us? The fact is, the enterprise is worth investing in. Show me something that's like it. The intangibles are unmatched. It fuels passion, loyalty. It celebrates resilience. It builds character in young people. And most importantly, it provides educational opportunities. Despite the unknowns at the American, we're jumping that curve. We're going to invest in new relationships, strategic partnerships. We're going to build for our member institutions, build value for all of them. My favorite line, nothing's off the table. It can't be for us. We'll continue to cast the net wide. We'll meet with prospective commercial and investment partners, conference naming rights, jersey patches with revenue flowing directly to student athletes, private capital. We will continue to explore what's possible. That's our responsibility. And it's important to say this, these relationships have a non-negotiable. Each one has to deliver a new experience and resource enhancement for student athletes. They deserve that. That's why we do this. Okay, let's talk about postseason play. We've all read about, and I've spoken and gone on the record to say we believe in more postseason football opportunities for student athletes. To be clear, more. I want you to focus on that word. More means additive. The CFP is a paramount relationship to the American, providing the opportunity to all of our coaches and all of our student athletes to compete every year for a national championship. We've been there before, and we expect to be there again. What has been established in this postseason is so meaningful, and there's room for more. In addition to, not in place of. Think about it, there could be conference champions left out of the CFP, and the prospect of an additional playoff for these champions that creates more opportunity and a greater experience for our student athletes. We're still waiting to hear what the downside of more meaningful postseason football is. That, by the way, could be a powerful complement and marketing platform to the CFP. Since day one on June 3rd, as you can tell, growth is something we're talking about all the time. It's 100% possible to break free from the status quo, to embrace innovation. Sometimes people will read a quote and say, well, are we doing it? We're just talking about these things. It's time to modernize the business and preserve what's special about college sports. This is what we're doing. We also believe in investing in people. The real power of our conference is its people. The member institutions, people who lead, coach, teach, work, compete, volunteer of themselves to be part of creating something special for young people. Investing in our people is not just a choice. It's our job. It's our responsibility. We are committed. We have to build an ecosystem of talent, growth, and success, and push every boundary. And we're not taking no for an answer. Those words in that opening video that I had the opportunity to voice, this is not some fictional script. It's real. It's who we are. Watching it gave me the chills. It reminded me of running out of a tunnel to a packed stadium when I was a student athlete. And the football people in the room know what I'm talking about. Okay, people are the heartbeat of the conference, the architects of the future, the driving force behind everything we do, because on Saturday, they're in the spotlight. The American has produced 4 NCAA championship teams, a college football playoff semifinalist, 4 New Year's 6 bowl champions, 15 individual NCAA champions, and a Rhodes Scholar. Since 2013, we've registered top 10 national rankings in 14 sports. In football, we've been a staple of the New Year's Six, and we will continue to be, with 8 appearances in 11 seasons since 2022. 2022 was when Tulane delivered the biggest one-year turnaround in major college football history, with their win over USC in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. We've produced 2 National Defensive Players of the Year, winners of the Outland, Jim Thorpe, Ray Guy, and Sullivan Awards, and 4 top 10 Heisman finishes. Our student athletes also understand the importance of balance. The balance is on display every year at our academic symposium. It's a centerpiece of research, collaboration, faculty and students getting together. The findings in these presentations are directly benefiting our student athletes. We're also enormously proud of the work of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee. They're raising awareness for mental health. Powerful Minds, their program is making a huge difference. Chris Paul, not that guy, not the one from the State Farm commercials, the lineman for the Washington Commanders. He has been a champion of this program back to his days on campus at Tulsa. We had a record number this year. More than 3,500 student athletes were members of the all-academic team, including 10 football student athletes that are with us today. Our dedicated and exceptional people are what the conference is about. For me, I'm proud to work alongside all of these folks. I understand what my responsibility is, and we're united in the mission. Every one of these student athletes gives us a reason to invest of ourselves every single day. I like to close by saying this, and a lot of you are getting to know me, and a lot of you do know me. I just wear it on my sleeve. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm as pumped up today for the kickoff of the American as I was 30 years ago as a 275-pound tight end from New Jersey. For the players in the room, that was an acceptable weight for a tight end back then, just so you know. Being here brings to the forefront the competitive nature that we all have. And I know this, our coaches and student athletes will represent this conference with class, with grit, and with determination. I can't wait, I'll be out there, I can't wait to watch you compete this fall. The return on our investment in you cannot measure, you cannot bottle. So it's your time now, it's your opportunity. Go show the world the American way. All right, with that, I'm going to throw it to Chuck for questions.
All right, we do have time for a few questions in the room. Please wait, raise your hand, we will get a microphone to you, and then for the benefit of 10, please introduce yourself and your media outlet.
Hey Tim, Sean Jarrett from CBS Sports. Good to see you. I know that you've brought up the idea of a separate postseason tournament before, and I know talking to other commissioners and Mike Resco in the past, they've worried about it creating sort of a two-tiered sort of mental disadvantage for a group of 5 teams. Is that something that you're concerned about, and do you think the benefits outweigh the costs?
Just to be clear, it's just a conversation at this point, And I think these conversations about what's possible sometimes have people move to conclusions that they're happening. But here's the reality, there is no group of 5. There are 9 conferences in this country playing college football. That's the way we see it. And I don't think any of those folks at these conferences or these commissioners would disagree that the postseason in college football is meaningful. So what is the downside of just talking about what else is possible?
Other questions?
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Tim, for you, when you talked about having a seat at the table and having everybody work together in the enterprise, for the other conferences, how has the conversation gone, and do you feel that the American is getting respect at the table?
I do. I think that Mike, in particular, and everybody that knows Mike, knows what an advocate he was for this conference and how hard he fought. Mike set the table incredibly well for anyone that would succeed in this job. There is a respect across the board in that room, not only for our conference, but what I'll tell you is, I always was curious to get in the room with the CFP, like it was like the Forbidden City. I was like, what goes on in there? I was trying to figure it out. But when I sat in my first meetings and listened and learned, you have a group of people in there that is working together to try to shape the future. There's going to be differences of opinion in that room, but people treat each other with respect, and we feel the same respect of the American that is being felt across the entire room.
Robbie Listello, Mitchell Brothers. Commissioner Pernetti, when you're looking at new teams to possibly join the American, what are some factors that you look at to, kind of keep the conference up there at the top of the G5 ranks?
Well, what I would say about expansion, what you're talking about in general, is expansion is a thing that's been around forever and continues, to create debate and, quite frankly, create instability at times. I think we'd all love to wake up in a world where we could spend all of our time focused on building our conference, with the membership we have. As far as where I sit on it is, we're spending all of our time to make this the best possible place for our members that are in the conference. And, quite frankly, I said this a few weeks ago, expansion doesn't need to be a dirty word. We can all talk about it openly and work with each other to try to figure out what is the best format in the future. But our job is to make this a great conference where people want to come and people want to stay.
Over here to your left, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, Ken Kreitzer, CanVet's Media and Cover Army. I just wonder if you could speak more about West Point joining the conference, having a team in the New York metropolitan area, and also the Army-Navy game being conducted now by both conference members, and just the audience of Army soldiers and veterans follow the conference.
I have a personal answer to this and professional. So I met Coach Newberry and Coach Munkin last night. We had a dinner with the coaches. I couldn't be more excited about Army joining our conference. And it's for anybody that doesn't feel the vibe right now coming off my voice. I said to Coach Munkin last night, and to Coach Newberry, When I played at Rutgers, I got the opportunity to play in incredible places. But Army and Navy took the cake. There's something different about football in these places. Like, it means something different. And no matter what the score was in any of those games, Ken, those student athletes fought you to the last snap. It was almost like it didn't matter. And the thing that I think took me most of all was their lives and their commitment are way more than about football. My favorite part of the Army-Navy game when I was a student athlete was standing behind them for their alma mater. And really just understanding that we had the opportunity to compete against student athletes that are going to protect and lead our future. Army and Navy football are special. Academy football is their national brands. They're going to bring great value and great tradition into an already strong league.
I'm Gary Smith with NOLA.com on the Times Picayune. Last year, SMU did not get the bowl slot that goes to the top 6 bowls. It's one of the rare times the conference hasn't done that, and that's got ramifications with the playoff spot being available this year. And there's some ratings saying that the Mountain West and the Sun Belt have surpassed the AAC going into this year. Are you concerned about where the league is right now, or do you feel like last year was just a blip, or maybe even unfair that SMU didn't get that spot?
I think everybody has opinions of last year. While I wasn't in the seat last year, to give you the real inside track on it, I think that what happened from our perspective speaks for itself. You have an institution that was in our league that had the guts to go out there and schedule and compete and did incredibly well and deserved that spot. But the reality of the future is we're not going to speculate on what's going to happen at the end of the season. We're just going to do our talking on the field.
Rapino, Denver Chronicle. The American's been a league that has had a lot of teams come and go over the years. What's your confidence in the stability of the league going forward?
I don't think there's a commissioner in America that would wake up in the morning and have a comfortable feeling about their own conference stability, because the reality is things are changing. The exciting part is that if you're a content provider like a conference, you have an asset that is just continuing to appreciate in value, especially around media rights. But as we look at the conference, I sat with our coaches last night after dinner and we talked about some real football matters. It's a different group. Like, I've been in rooms with football coaches in different conferences and different roles. This is a different group. They're very committed and focused to trying to make this the best it can possibly be. And listen, decisions about conference affiliation get made by a variety of people, but what I do know is our coaches are committed to putting the best product on the field, and that's what we have to do. Like, our brand and our reputation are about how we play and how we represent ourselves. Expansion is going to continue to hover. We're going to be ready if things start to change.
Take one over here.
Steve Helwick, SB Nation. In November, Commissioner Oresco stated that business seemed to be closed to Oregon State, Washington State at the time. Have any talks reopened with those schools and the potential to join the American?
I think any conversation, whether it's Washington State, Oregon State, or any of the other things that are part of the daily narrative, listen, everybody's talking to everybody at this point. I think the most important thing is to keep the dialogue open. And listen, whether you're talking about institutions joining your conference or anything else, it's good that the conversations are actually happening. As it relates to what works for us, we like where we are. Having said that, we're going to be ready for other opportunities as they present themselves. But we also, the thing, and just a personal thing, when I worked at Rutgers, we took them into the Big Ten. And I had nightmares about, like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking about our field hockey team being on a bus back from Wisconsin in the middle of the night. The thing that needs to be weighed in expansion is student-athlete experience. Like, are we focused on that, or is this just all about media and television revenue? We need to start to reprioritize student-athlete experience, because the reality is a lot of our sports don't have the ability to charter and make trips. So that part, I think, is more in focus for us than it's ever been.
Time for one or two more.
Trey Smith, College Underdogs. Commissioner Pernetti, I'm over to your right.
Okay, thank you.
Getting back to the Army edition, the Army-Navy game, such a unique tradition associated with that game. Is there any thought in your mind as the leader of the conference of looking at making that Army-Navy game a conference game while also protecting the tradition that's associated with it?
Trey, the Army-Navy game, I was talking to Coach Munkin about it last night at dinner, having been multiple times, it's just different. You know, and I'd encourage anybody in the room, if you love college football, you have to go to the Army-Navy game once in your life. That would be a great outcome if the Army-Navy game could be part of the rights of this conference. Having said that, the Army-Navy game has been managed almost as a separate entity outside of college football for a long time. It has national, if not international, appeal. They've driven great value for their institutions. The last thing we want to do is get in the way of those institutions being able to continue to profile and generate that value. But at the right time, you know, I'll do my job. I'll make a compelling case. If I'll be successful or not, I guess we'll see.
Commissioner Dolphins for Dolphins AD for Houston Roundabout Review. With your background coming from private equity, what are the conceivability that the Saudi Arabian PIF could be part of this mix now moving forward?
Which group did you say in particular?
The Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund.
Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't had any conversations with folks there. I don't know anybody there. A lot of the conversations that we're having in private capital and private equity are, you know, with a variety of US-based firms, including a couple that I had an experience working with in my last role at IMG Academy. So the good news is there are many private capital groups interested in the industry. I think they're all still trying to figure out how to engage. Because here's the thing, like private equity doesn't not exist already in college. Anybody that's been to University of Texas and seen the Moody Center, that's a private capital deal. It was funded by private capital, the keys were given to Texas, and that group that funded it controls the revenue there for most events for 30 years. Like, these relationships already exist. But as it relates to investing in a conference and betting on the value we can create in the future, that's where the conversations are happening. And they're encouraging. There's a lot of people interested. But I think that speaks to the affinity of what we do.
Commissioner, thanks for the time at the podium. We'll let the coaches and student athletes begin their rotations here.